Our next speaker is Dr. Rainer Picha, Chairman, International Maharishi Ayurveda Foundation, Austria. I welcome you, sir, for your talk on topic Modern Medicine Start to Agree on Ayurvedic Principles. Please, sir.
Thank you. So I think it's fortunate for me to speak after President Hegelin because he opened this topic, Modern Science Discovering Ayurveda, by his talk, discovering that the unified field is in physiological terms our own consciousness, and which is the basis of our physiology, and therefore the basis of Ayurveda. So you can go to the first slide, please. I think the topic of modern science, discovering Ayurveda, is very important for us in our endeavor to bring Ayurveda to the mainstream in every country of the world. You can show the first slide and the next one even. And I just wanted to show at the beginning that at the moment it seems to be there are two different worlds. You can go to the next slide, please. Modern medicine and traditional medicine have different words. They seem to have nothing to do with each other. In modern medicine, we often use allopathic medicine, modern medicine, Western medicine, conventional medicine, mainstream medicine. And on the other side, we say Ayurveda, we say traditional medicine, alternative, complementary, naturopathy. But just put a few, it seems like they're separated, and both are aiming to bring health to the individual. For a person seeking health, it's difficult. He has to decide himself where to go. It's not unified, it's not integrated. That's why integrative medicine is unifying all the systems and very important. And if you want to convince someone in a conversation about anything that you want to tell him, the most easiest way to convince anyone is to make him say what you wanted to say. And actually that is what is happening with modern science. And I will give you a few examples in my presentation. I wanted to guide you now through how I see modern medicine and Ayurveda actually starting to merge into each other. And that merging result is called integrative medicine. And I give you just a few examples. In the last few years, I have like 20, 40, 30 such things. These are Ayurvedic expressions here, like the Prakriti, the Apanavata, Vyama. This is just a few words that fit into that diagram. And I just wanted in this short time to discuss these four things. The Prakriti, which everyone knows, the concept of ama, of toxins, of undigested food that has to be eliminated, the system of dinacharya, our daily routine, and its importance, and Sandhi Prakash, this is the gap between day and night, the importance of the morning sun. So I would like to guide you just through this few, and there are much more even than that you see here, and that's the wonderful thing that is happening. Modern science is about to discover and has discovered all these age-old Ayurvedic principles. Let's start with the Prakriti. This everyone who is practicing Ayurveda knows very well. And this has been actually just a few years ago correlated with our genome. And many of Ayurvedic experts call it now Ayurgenomics, which has become a new word in molecular biology and genetic medicine. And I just show you a chart. This is the result of a study that was published very prominently in the Journal of Nature, the top most scientific journal in the world, actually. And what has been presented in this study is that, I make it now simple for you, this is like a single nucleotide polymorphism and complicated genetic expressions, but the result is that if a Vaidya or any questionnaire that evaluates the Prakriti properly, that correlates to our own genome, because the genome has qualities that relate to a certain type, Kapha and Vata, Pitta, Kapha. And what you see here is that, this is for Vata, Pitta and Kapha. Is a block spot chart that shows that this genetic analysis correlates very well with the examination result of a Vaidya. So just I keep it with that without going into the genetic details. Just to give an example of these few areas, the next one I would like to highlight is the concept of ama, undigested food. And I find it interesting that in 2016, not a long time ago, a Nobel Prize was awarded for discovering the mechanism underlying autophagy. And autophagy is something that is happening in our body when we are fasting, when we are hungry, which means auto self, and phagy means to devour, to eat yourself, basically it means. I think it comes in the next chart, but I find it interesting that autophagy and amapachana is like absolutely the same. If you translate amapachana, you know, everyone who is practicing Ayurveda knows this is an important way of digesting your own ama, your own waste, is called amapachana, ama for waste, and pachana for digesting. And autophagy is the same, you know, digesting waste. So I find it very interesting, and previously, in my time when I studied medicine, to have the idea of toxins or waste or something that's in the body that needs to be eliminated wasn't recognized. This is anyway doing the kidney and the liver and the stools. But now it's more and more recognized, like a very prominent disease, Alzheimer's, is caused by amyloid deposit, which is ama in the brain. Or now there's a term called MSC, very prominent, is a multiple chemical sensitivity to environmental toxins. That means our body suffers from ama that we, you know, indigest from outside. That is also ama. So all of these things are now recognized by modern medicine. I explained already what is autophagy. It's interesting, you know, that modern medicine is now very strongly going into pharmaceutical drugs that are called autophagy activator drugs. Like, you know, spermidine and others. There are many, and they put a lot of money in this, whereas Ayurveda has already amapachana herbs that do this in a safe way since thousands of years, that have no side effects. So it's a fascinating support for a concept that we are all doing that has since long been rejected by modern medicine, and now even they are doing it themselves. So I think this is a great development. So the Dinacharya, this is our daily routine. Here again, a Nobel Prize was awarded for discovering the circadian rhythm. Every Ayurveda practitioner knows very well how important it is to follow the daily rhythms of nature. Now, modern medicine is discovering that if there is a chronic misalignment between our lifestyle and the inner clock, then you are more prone to disease. And actually the treatment of diseases and the success of interventions such as surgery, they are also influenced by the time of the day when you do it. This is all recognized now by modern medicine. Everyone knows this famous chart, how the daily rhythm is going according to Ayurveda. Here I don't want to spend so much time, but I wanted to show to you, if you don't have read this, this is the inner clock, how it works. It's basically a clock that sits right in the middle of our brain. It's called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. So this is the nucleus of a cell, and the bluish thing here is the cell cytoplasma. And we don't go into these details, but there are genes, they're called a period gene and the other timeless gene, and all the rest I don't want to explain, it takes 5 minutes to guide you through, but the interesting part of it is that this system of gene expression and then degradation and then going back again to the cell and blocking again the activation of these genes, this is a circle in itself, and it takes exactly 24 hours, maybe just a little longer. And scientists have observed if you put someone in complete darkness or no change day and night, the body continues this cycle. Just the body needs a little bit what they call time givers. And that's what we do with Ayurveda. The time givers are besides the sun and rise and set, it's the sleeping time and the waking time and the main meal times. This is what is every day resetting our clock, and it's so important to be on time with this and to set our inner clock right. So, and this is all discovered now by modern medicine, and so there are actually many diseases now, especially sleep disorders, but also others, that have given names like CRSD. This is called circadian rhythm sleep disorders. They even, if you could have 4 types, I didn't want to bother you with all of this, but modern medicine goes very deep in dinacharya, appreciates this, and just does fulfilling the dinacharya rules that we all know so well since thousands of years. So that is the inner clock. And the next thing I wanted to discuss with you is what we in Ayurveda say Sandhi Prakash. This is like the gap between night and day. That means the importance of sunrise. Every one of us who practicing Ayurveda knows about the value of the sunrise. And looking at Bhatbhush and Devendra Triguna, I remember your father saying in a big conference, what is the most important recommendation for anyone in Ayurveda? And he said, take a walk during sunrise. So there you see the importance of the sunrise, and we know it from many others. We do Surya Namaskar in the morning, greeting the sun. There is sun gazing in yoga, there is morning rituals, and even Sthapatya Veda, which is the science of proper houses constructed according to natural law, and you orientate Vastu homes, Sthapatya Veda homes, to the grid, so that the opening to the east is most important. We prefer east entrance, the greatest amount of windows to the east, so to receive the healing influence of the morning sun. So this is appreciated by many Vedic disciplines. So here also modern medicine, and I find it really almost most interesting, has discovered that only the first few minutes of the morning sunlight, there is a lot of what we call near infrared. You know, this is the visible light here, and this is infrared, and the near infrared is the light that is most close to the visible light. It's a special tiny amount of frequency called near infrared light. And this light is very special and only happens during the first minutes of sunrise. And when you look at it, something amazing happens. And I would like to explain this to you a little bit. There was, again in Nature, a study, and they say that NII, this is this near infrared light, releases tissue melatonin. Now everyone feels, no, you are wrong, because we know that melatonin is a sleeping hormone. When the sun goes down, melatonin increases. That's also right. But this melatonin is produced by the pineal gland in the brain, and it's a hormone-secreting tissue. That means this melatonin goes into the blood. Whereas that melatonin that is produced by the morning light is called tissue melatonin. And that is chemically absolutely the same, but what it does in the body is totally different. It doesn't go in the blood, it doesn't make you sleepy. It's a wonderful drug, a wonderful medicine that is produced by our own body, and it's an oxygen scavenger, and it improves the health of the mitochondria. I will mention this now in a moment. So it has nothing to do with the sleeping hormone. It's actually produced in the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of each cell, where oxygen is used to produce energy, ATP it's called. And this tissue melatonin is a wonderful, they link it to anti-aging, to anti-cancer, and to immunity, to strengthen the body, to fight viruses and bacteria and so forth. And tissue melatonin promotes mitophagy. So this is now a new word, don't want to bother too much. Autophagy, we just learned, is the digestion of our waste. And mitophagy is the digestion, the elimination of mitochondria. Why? because the mitochondria, they don't live long. They get, they're always with the oxygen, they create when they are lift up, they are toxic themselves. They always have to be eliminated, always new mitochondria. This is such an important process in our physiology for our health, and that has to be renewed. And melatonin is doing that and promoting that. So it is really very, very important. It explains why to be up in the early sunrise is so important. So modern medicine is now supporting even that concept, which many felt this is a cultural, religious thing to greet the sun in the morning. No, it has real, profound implications for our health. So I think I mentioned all of this in that slide. And just to support again this concept of morning sunrise, one of the biggest studies ever done regarding the importance of the early morning was a study of the European Society of Cardiology. They looked at 85,000 people. They give them activity trackers and so forth and studied what they are doing. And the result is that if you're active early in the morning, that produces the lowest risk of cardiovascular disease, which is the main disease in this world. About 40 to 50% of our world population is dying from cardiovascular disease, heart attack and stroke. So this is another support for this concept. And now I want to close with a last, but most important subject is chronic stress. Stress has just a devastating effect on our health. And I put here, I don't want to use smaller letters. I put 20, 30 diseases that are linked with chronic stress. There are much more. I think there's hardly any disease that is not linked with chronic stress. And modern medicine recognized this problem, but the solution is not yet there. And we just heard from President Hägglin that we have transcendental meditation as a great stress management technology that may not be able to eliminate stress, but makes the body stronger to handle that stress, called stress resilience. So that's a great technology to handle all of these diseases. And I just, in this famous journal, The Lancet, it's one of the top medical journals in Great Britain. In 2004, they looked at all the risk factors for cardiovascular disease, smoking, diabetes, hypertension, and they, for the first time in 2004, they included stress, psychosocial stress, as one of the risk factors, as an independent risk factor, and it's not less than smoking or hypertension. It is, this is the probability, the odds rates ratio, how likely it is when you have one of these risk factors that you experience heart attack or stroke. Handling stress became extremely important, and modern medicine is looking for something. And, fortunately, with Maharishi Yogi brought this ancient technology from yoga to us, to the entire world, that everyone can easily learn transcendental meditation. We have a wonderful stress management technology that brings so much benefit. 700 studies have shown this in the last few years. So I've mentioned that already. So I'm coming to the end. The summary of my presentation is that modern medicine and Ayurvedic medicine, they're starting actually to merge into each other. You can see this now in slowly, this coming together, and the end, there is one medicine only, which is integrative medicine. Thank you for your attention.